we oftentimes talk about is when you say, I got a broad idea who I believe that my app, my process, my product will serve. One of the best ways to determine who it's going to serve is A, find the competition. So see what they're already using. It may not be the same thing, but it's the alternative. They're getting something satisfied, right? If you're
Hmm.
saying, well, I'm solving a problem. And I say, well, okay, what problem are you solving? And you go, oh, well, this, that, and the other. All right, great. I'm going to save people time, right? How are people already saving time? So what that'll do, Mark, is that'll lead you to where you have a potential pool of customers. But before you do build outs, before you spend money on all this stuff, we do the smallest thing that we possibly can to validate the idea, to get people going, hey, what's that? Right? And they're saying, I know what I'm doing. You know, I got these. Let's take the iPod for example. They said I got this music. I got it on first. I had it on tape. Now I got it on CD. But then what is this device? And Steve Jobs says, hey, listen, I'll put all of those songs that you lugging around in your car, and you'll have them in your pocket, 10,000 of them. And somebody says, wait a
Hmm.
minute, 10,000? It says, yep, no problem. It says, well, Napster got, hit in the head because they were trying to download stuff. What are you going to do? Well, we're going to take care of that part. We got the music people. We're going to pay them a percentage, blah, blah, blah. So you can download their songs, create your own song playlist. And people start going, huh, I think that would be all right. So he wasn't necessarily solving a problem because they, guess what? We're already doing it. But he says, can I give you an opportunity to put 10,000 songs in your pocket? They were thinking that it wasn't a problem, but it was an opportunity. So your idea then, you start asking yourself, and I'll should send this video to you when we get done with it,
Okay.
is you start saying, okay, average person, what are they doing right now to solve the problem that you said my ideal is going to help solve? And then you say, well, even the experienced person in a particular area, what are they already doing to solve this problem? What alternatives are they using? And then what that'll do, Mark, is that'll start pointing you in the direction of potential people that you are going to go and say, hey, if I could this, and this, would that be something that would be interesting to you? Then people start going, yeah. So that means you'll be building out the small landing pages. And because you're already into tech, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Hmm.
You're not a newbie. So you'll be building out the small landing pages. You'll be building out these small little funnels that lead people from where they are now to over here to check this new thing out, right? And then that is the beginning parts of the validating of the idea, right? Now, when you really know that it's going to be popping is when they will actually pay you, whether it's putting down payments. That's what I tell people to do. I says, now build out as small a prototype as you have to, right? Without getting the patents, because you don't want to spend money before you got potential money coming in, right? So we then are building out these things. You're saying, hey, listen, I'm going to help save you X, Y, and Z, time, money, say face, whatever it is, because of what's coming. And then you say, well, it will do this. It will help you replace that. It will help you save time here. You see what I mean? You're getting them interested enough where they go, shit, I think I'd like to see what that is. And then that leads them over to, let's say, a small landing page that says, if you would be interested in one of the things I just talked about, right? Now, you've got just a basic piece of what you're going to be doing long before patents, long before, trademarks and all that. You see what I mean?
Hmm.
Then when people start signing up, you can now have an opportunity to say, great, I got 1,500 people that are waiting for this thing. Now you can go and start doing your protections, right? You can do your protections if you so choose to. I mean, nothing's really truly ever able to be protected. You can patent stuff all you want to. Somebody can come around and go, yeah, we got more money. We'll just change a couple of things and blah, 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 right? But if
Right.
you can get usability, if you can get people using it and they say, man, this is awesome. The utility here, it does all that it says it's going to do, plus. You see my point here?
Hmm.
And then they get excited. And what happens then is they start telling others. Now you have a groundswell of potential customers that you can look, they're looking at your idea, just waiting on you. That's what you want. And you can go fast at that point. You can iterate quickly without spending a lot of money, just a couple dollars, maybe, I try to say $100. I'm going to spend 50 on ads, right, to attract people to this potential idea. I'm going to maybe whatever I'm using as my website builder, I'm going to be creating a couple of landing pages. You see what I mean? We're talking pennies versus thousands on an idea we don't know yet.
Right.
Feel it. The business plan is saying, hey, I'm popping. It'll work. But we don't know yet. Right? Like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get popped in the mouth.
Yeah.
Then they drop their hands. Right? So this is one
those
of
are
the
the lessons I learned with my first business, this business. It originally started off as I was morphing kids. I was doing graphic design and stuff like that, where I was morphing kids into superheroes. Like, I don't know if you see this. Let me show you.
That's when I saw it morph images, the site it confused me a little bit because I didn't know what was happening.
Because at first it was
the name.
It was morph illustrations. And then it turned into morph images. I just changed it to morph images. Like, my SEO was super high for illustrations, but then as soon as I turned it to images, it's almost like a restart. So I was turning kids into superheroes. Here's a trading card.
Nice. I'm surprised you stopped that. What happened? It didn't pop?
The idea was great, but a lot of kids, like, that's not something people would invest a lot of money. It's a more niche, like a seasonal thing, like Halloween, kids getting trading cards, passing out trading cards and stuff like that, getting posters. I had a kid doing posters. There was a photo shoot, if you look on my social media site, where I hired people to dress up as superheroes and take pictures with them and stuff like that and sell calendars and stuff like that. But that was not enough money. It was too niche. So then I switched it to, kids that want to do modeling and stuff, that they'll do portfolio building and stuff like that. They want videos. They want content that they can use to put in the social media. So that's what it's morphed into. So I'm morphing the whole image of the person from, so that's where the name come from. So I learned those trials and tribulations, that what you think might be great, people might
Shrug their shoulders like, yeah.
Like, it's a great idea. I want to use it, but they don't want to invest in it. So, for
it's not what they call an investable idea.
Right.
But I kind of think that's interesting, though. So I don't want you to go totally away from it. There's a particular reason, because during the season, think about all the Halloween people that don't make money anytime but during that time, and you make your money and you move on.
Right. So what I do is, instead of making that my whole business thing, that's just like an event.
Exactly. Don't move away from that. And there's a reason why, and this is coming from my time spending with what seems to be what people like, right? All I do now is just, I don't build nothing. I used to do the same thing, build first, come out there and crickets. I'm like, damn, why didn't they buy that? That was awesome. And it's like, it could have been ahead of its time, whatever it is. Now I go the opposite way. I find out what people are already looking for, via keywords and, answer to publics, all these kind of things. Then I build. But what I do know is that there are universal things that people hold true. And right now, the self-expression is huge, right? Then what you were doing with this segment was self-expression, and people want to be about that. I can imagine somebody saying, hey, if you can morph me into such and such, I can then put that on TikTok. And you're going, oh yeah, I got the software. Let's do it. All you got to do is send me a picture, pay me, $49, and boom, done. And you got it. And then you can put it on TikTok. So I can see that thing being something that would work. But then you just kind of, we got to find the angle in for it to pop. And then the patience that's going to be necessary to make it pop, right? Because think about this, an individual trading card, wait a minute, I don't have to revere superstars. No, you're your own superstar, right? Yeah. So that becomes a part of the languaging that makes people go, I never thought about eating that, but I'm freaking hungry for that now.
Yeah, that my slogan was become your imagination.
Yeah, become your imagination. You are your own superstar. All these
Hmm.
different things. You are on your own superhero. See, it's just how you're going to approach it, the lane you're going to approach it from, and then finding the area where people are hungry for that kind of self expression, right? So that's testing. You're doing A B split test all over the place. You're driving ads from areas that people are already kind of interested in that kind of thing. And then when TikTok exploded, self expression became the thing. So I started, when I was looking at TikTok, I said, all these ordinary people going on TikTok and becoming self expressed. Now, something like that, connecting perhaps something like that with an influencer that makes it pop. And all you have to do is go over here, people load up their image, and then the tech side of it is that you turn them into superstars or superheroes via what you do in the background. You see my point?
Hmm.
So I don't what I recommend is not closing off the room. Now the house is tech, right? Your tech company involves itself in many different things. For example, one of the things that your tech company did was you started this self-expression company where kids could turn into superheroes, right? Now the next one he says, and that had its modicum of success. I had a couple of people building out posters, blah blah blah, but it was relatively seasonal. And you go, okay, that's great, but that's fine. We got rooms in our house that we don't use, especially if it's a big house. I got a little house. I
Hmm.
say I want to use every room.
Yeah.
You see my point? I like utility, right? So here's also what you can say is now what I'm doing. I found that images, people still need these pro images for the things that they want to do across their social media channels. So I found that that was a natural progression given your skill set, right? To send people, drive people to, so you're testing that out, right?
Hmm.
So as I look at it, what I'm really getting to is that your tech company is already started, right? And what you're doing is saying, okay, what is the tech? Well, it's going to be a little bit of your talent. It's going to be your ability to assemble talent, right? Because you can go and say, I need something coded up, and because you understand code,
Right.
you can leverage that out. One of the biggest and hardest things for entrepreneurs to get around their heads, and I me included, is leveraging. Trust me when I say it's, bro. I'm sitting here building stuff, and I'm thinking, why am I doing this? This is not going to be nearly as good as Joe Blow Fiverr person or Guru or Top Tal.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But what you now can do, because you, as the tech company, you're saying what we do is we find, things to build quickly. We put a model behind it, a revenue model, whether it's a subscription model, whether it is, pay to play model, whatever it is. And then we, maximize the heck out of it. You see my point? So you say, well, how do I start? Well, the point is that you're already started.
Mm.
You're already testing things, and you're saying, hey, look, I'm taking my lumps. There's nothing to say that you won't have 5, 10, 15 things that don't work right now, but that
Right.
doesn't mean you can't peel from them, that you can't learn from them and then implement as you get out there and says, oh, I can use a little bit of what I did over here with the superhero stuff, and I can use that over here. So if somebody just wants a plain picture, you can say, hey, listen, would it matter to you if you had something that made you look like a superhero? And they may go, I never thought about that. And you go, oh yeah, boom, boom, boom. And then that becomes the ancillary stream to some other focus,
Hmm.
right? But the tech company itself, I would start thinking about it like this: is what is it that I want to do,
Right.
and then what house do I want to build, and then what rooms do I want it to have in it. So your business model is based on, is it based on, or tell me what your business model is actually based on.
Well, it's how do I say this? I'm trying to separate myself from what I'm doing right now into going into something different because it's a whole different world. So, because right now I'm dealing with kids and teens and stuff like that.
Mhm.
with what I want to build, it's pretty much 16 on up. So it's an app that gets everyone, you know, active, and to know that, you know, going through everyday things, there's someone just like you and you guys can grow together.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I
So
got a
it's
little bit
more
of that.
it's like facilitating.
Hmm.
You know, it's they're not actually buying a product, but it's facilitating so you can get to products, so you can
Hmm.
get to a service or what, you know.
So it becomes the it's like the high
So
the
it's sort of like Tinder, right?
yeah.
Like Tinder
Well, maybe
doesn't,
use a different reference, right?
right. So
Match.com perhaps,
Match.com.
because
So
Tinder is all about
about money and, you know, swipe
about
right.
getting it
Yeah, yeah.
on, you know.
Hmm.
But Match, the algorithm that Match uses is second to none. To do what? And that's what you're talking about, right? I match people that I match the average person or even the experienced person that wants to be surrounded around others like them.
Hmm.
Right now, I can tell you an app that is starting to blow up that's doing just that. Blowing up. It's pissed me off because it's not. It's not. It's only for iOS. It's only for Apple mofos,
Mm.
right?
What is it?
Clubhouse, right? Clubhouse. So you think Clubhouse, yeah. So Clubhouse is going nuts. It's here's the big idea, right? And not like yours, because yours could be very niched out and specific.
Yeah, it
But as
is.
right, so and you think about the niche and you think about the specific. The good part about this is that you have examples. So you're saying example A is like the Tinders, the dating apps that do what? Well, they match. So your app then is the facilitator, the matcher. They go
Right.
on your app, they pay it's either using the freemium model or it's actually straight paid. To come on my app, you have to pay a monthly like Match does or whatever, right? And he says, but what we do then is match what you are looking for with communities that are already existing, right?
Hmm.
And then your job, of course, is to make sure you got these communities.
Here's here's the beauty of it. Right. I it can be sort of dual where I can have the communities plus just person to person. So it's just, you know, just entering that world. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just matching someone to go through that journey with you. That's the beauty of it. And I looked all like I've, you know, I'm really into apps. I'm really into social media and stuff like that. I looked. No one. It's the most practical thing that no one has ever created. You know what I
Well,
mean?
they're doing it in a
People.
different way, right? And that's why I suggested that they're doing it relative. Think about this. They're doing it in a different way and they have their own niche. Dating,
Mhm.
boom, doing it in that way. Dating, okay. Um, Matching, let's say, be Airbnb. They're doing it in a different way, right? So now you're saying, broadening it a little bit, because get this, and the point I'm making is that you can find a Airbnb place that you like to stay, and then you can make a deal with the owner if you feel like it.
Right.
So I mean, the owner says, "Look, I just want to get paid," but the app and the platform allowed it. So there,
Hmm.
people are doing stuff just differently, and that's what when we get into our own apps and our own ideas, is that we don't see that a lot of stuff is being satisfied in a different way, but that's good because that means there is a market
Right.
and there's an interest. Now you just need to introduce this other concept to the bigger ideal of social connecting,
Yes. That's
right?
what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
And see, that's my point, is that social connecting is a universal thing with people, right? People want to connect. We got the herd mentality, it's safety in numbers, et cetera, et cetera. And if you decide to go private, that's up to you. The app allows you to now be a part of the community. And if you think about what Messenger does, so Facebook says this, Messenger says, hey, if you want to DM somebody, you can. go
Mhm.
private. So you see, it's elements being done. Now, when you introduce, hey, so that when you introduce what it is you're trying to do with your particular product, people are saying, well, I'm not totally unfamiliar, but I
Right.
didn't know about this one. Now, let's get back to Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a, think about this. Clubhouse is a audio social media app. That's it. So people get on Clubhouse and all kinds of people come into Clubhouse and they have these little, what they call little rooms. So you may be talking with, a celebrity, a regular person. So think about what they did. They created an app where people could come in and do social, right? Do social stuff,
Mhm.
but then they just did it in audio.
Hmm.
So, and then it disappears after a certain amount of time, right? So you start thinking, wait a minute. And it's blowing up because they put some velvet rope shit type around it, right? They says, oh, it's exclusive only to the Apple users. So now, Android folks are like, well, that sucks. I want to be a part
Yeah.
of Clubhouse. But then they get in and they talk about a variety of things. You can find business people in Clubhouse and get into a community and start talking. Just add a little blah, 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 and somebody listens in, then somebody says, oh, that's pretty interesting. Who is this guy? You see my point here is that, and then now you got people saying, hey, are you a part of Clubhouse? Are you a part of Clubhouse? Are you a part of Clubhouse? Because somebody started it, got it out there, right? And they actually started as a different kind of app. It wasn't originally started off as how people took it up. You see my point here? So when
Mhm.
you're, spending all this time patenting shit and all that kind of stuff, you need usability, right? If you get users using your stuff, you grab utility, you see what they like to do, you see where they would like to expand it. Then you can go and get, like I say, your protections because now you have people using it. And if somebody says, hey, I'll help you take that to the next level, invest in it, then that's when utilize that leverage to then go get all your patents and all the things that you need to get, right? But not first, because that's just that wastes time that you don't know about yet, right? And now I've given you just listening a little bit to the idea, seeing that there's one, two, three, four things kind of, but not the same, right? So now taking principles from each of those things is your job, is to take principles from each of those things and say, okay, what do I do next? The next thing you do is that you get enough of it built out, and that's going to cost you pennies, right? Because
Right.
there's a lot of developers out there that can, you know, drop some stuff that's a good enough idea to see if people out there say, what is this new thing that does social connecting? I want to be a part of that. Long before you even have it perfected, you have it out there in principle and people start using it.
Mhm.
So that's what I would do next. Next steps, I would say, okay, whether you come up with the idea or whatever, you say, I need to, leverage a couple of $100, have somebody build out a small, workable, you've heard of the minimum viable product,
Yep.
the minimum viable product that I can create so I can get it out there and to have people start using it. And when they start using it, they go, oh man, I didn't realize the power of being able to connect ordinary folks with this and that and this. And you're going, that's my idea, right?
Mhm.
People keep using it. Now, it's like Calendly. There's a black guy that started Calendly, right? And I do a lot of my stuff. I send everybody to Calendly. I says, hey, get on my schedule. Now, he didn't build it himself sitting in a room. He had a whole bunch of designers and he had some programmers create enough of it where people start using it, right? And then he says, well, I'm going to give you 30 minutes free. And if you need more functionality, pay me. I use the free version for just about everything. But guess what? He's got users. He can point to his Calendly app, which is just a calendar app, not unlike Acuity, not unlike a lot of stuff, some stuff you can even get for free. And he says, well, when you're ready, I'm here, that's going to cost you, 15, 25, $30 a month. And this guy made millions, millions, right? And that's, as I listen to yours and your idea, and I say, well, you know what? Get the smallest the minimum viable product that you can get created, just minimum, right? Something that people go, I can press this app and it connects me to this community, right?
Yes.
It connects me to that private person in that community. Okay, right? It's very similar to, as I think about um, how people are using it in a variety of areas, right? We already talked about the match. You got, different platforms that are using that style. And then under that dating app ecosystem, a million of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Show up because they have utility. The utility is people connect and get their groove on if they want to with grind and all that kind of stuff, or they just want to meet somebody, right? And then you can peel off black people meet, farmers meet, whatever, right? So it's being used in a different way. And then you've got the other ones that you're going to be taking these already built things and saying, how can I reverse engineer enough without damaging or violating their patents to then include this in my app, get that product built, right? That's your start. That's your what to do next, right? Names, all that stuff, incorporations, none of that really matters, really, right? That's just make your stuff self feel good stuff, but it has nothing to do with usability. You want people getting it in their little hands, right? Using it and then giving you feedback on what they like, don't like, need, would like extra. And you're like, no problem. So you get 40 people using it, 50 people using it. And then they start telling everybody, hey, there's this app by Buddy Corporation that is you know what I mean? So it just doesn't
Yeah.
have to be that you don't really have to think that much about it. You got to do. Right. So Buddy Corporation, what is Buddy Corporation? Well, Buddy Corporation is a tech company that does various things. But here's the one that seemed to hit. That was a miss. That was okay. That was too hit before its time. But this one's a hit. Why? Because people are in that mindset right now of connecting, especially now, right? You COVID it all up. Everybody's in the house and they're looking, man, we're ready to connect, right? But guess what's doing well? Dating apps are still doing all right,
Yeah.
right? They added functionality. They saw somebody doing a Zoom thing that says, "Can we add Zoom functionality to our dating app?" Right? And it was they didn't have to create it; they just saw it. People were zooming up everything, and now they says, let's add that as a component." Now Facebook says, "Hey, we're rolling out a dating app," and now everybody's scared because it says Facebook knows everything about everybody, and they could single-handedly become the largest dating app overnight.
Yeah.
You see my point here is that is in the space. That's the connection space. You're saying I have a subset of connectability that then allows you to do this. And you may just get users because people are in that way. That's good. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what I would be doing next is I would be looking at the idea and saying, okay, I got the business plan, I got the BP that says I should make money from this. And then I'd be saying, okay, what can I get built out very, very quickly, long before you even, approach anybody to say, hey, would you be interested in investing in this or whatever? Build out a small prototype. And I'm talking about for 100, 200 bucks, and that's where you might be talking with the programmers over in India because they do stuff for cheap money and
Yeah, they
they
do.
do it well because that's all they do. Right here, we're trying to charge $2,000 and they're doing it for 200. You know what I mean? So you can get some minimum viable stuff done. I'll give you an example. My stepson, Steven, had an app built because I've been telling him, I want you to get online. He's a engineer. And I says, use your math stuff. And so I did a video for him showing him what he could do, create and all this kind of stuff. And he went and created it. Just told me the other day that it's live in the store and it's an app that helps you make decisions better called Decision Buddy.
Oh.
right? So I'm gonna be doing a video on it real soon, and throwing it on my YouTube channel about the progression. Took him from he just worked a job and all that kind of stuff to now thinking about being in the online space and then creating the online thing, right? Because he loves Excel. I says, all right, create something around Excel.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, yeah, that makes sense. I love it. I use it all the time. I says, but make it for ordinary people because people get scared of Excel because they don't know how to work it.
Right.
Right. So he created this. He says, yeah, okay, great. Then he created a suite of Excel based products. Right. So now I'm talking to him about making it, when you get on, get a little bit more energy because he's an engineer. He sounds like an engineer. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I said, be more energetic, talk to people, walk them through it. But he had somebody over in, I think he got him from Fiverr for $400, built it all the way out, and now it's in the Google Play Store.
Mm.
$400. All right. I went to it, bought it, of course, or downloaded it. And so I'm talking with them about some functionality. So I'm being like a beta test customer. And that's what you're going to need for yours is beta test customers, right? So to take your stuff from aspiration to action, right? And one of my specialties is helping people go from aspiration to action, right? I know what you want. I know what you wanted to do. But now how do you take that one step that gets you there, then the next step that gets you there, and then the last step that gets it out and into the public domain so they can start using it?
So his app is out now, right? How long has it been out?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Okay.
Called Decision. It's in the Google Play Store. It's called Decision Buddy, not the Decision Buddy. I think it's. I said, is it the? He said, no, Decision Buddy, right? And again, he had it done. So I asked him, because I got an app that I'm rolling out as soon as the people over in India give it to me. I got to get all my files and downloads to BlueStack, and it's just BlueStack is kind of weird to use sometimes. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so and mine's a meditation app. But my meditation app, now think about this, bro. This is something I put together 2 years ago. I've just been fooling around with these folks. My fault because I didn't know enough to get it to that last mile, right? But now I know a lot, and I'm like, I'm ready to get my app now, and it's become kind of popular. As soon as P Diddy came out with a meditation app, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you? Because it was a little ahead of its time, but mine, what it does is kind of focuses on money, right? I'm literally today I was building out the actual small, simple website that I'll drive traffic to see if anybody goes, hey, that's interesting. I'll download that. All I'm asking for is $1. You see what I mean? So it's so that's why I was yesterday. It was terrible because I built the whole thing out and I messed around and opened up another editor on my, and that kept it from saving. So I lost like almost 2 hours worth of work.
Did
And it
you
was my fault.
were you using Dreamweaver or what?
No. I use it for when I'm just testing something out, and this is what I'm suggesting to you. When I'm testing something out, I use a basic plug and play builder, right? Just basic, something that I can do with
Right.
non-coder guy. So can I put an image up quickly? Boom, boom, right? Can I put the file in there really, easily? Can I put
Yeah.
a payment processor? Yes, all that is yes. I'll do it. Can I get it done in less than a week?
Yeah.
All
That's why
these
I
little
use, yeah.
factors. Week, man, 7 days, 7 days. Every Friday, which is tomorrow. For every Friday, my goal, my task is to release something. Not perfect, but just release it to get it out there to see if people go, hey, I'll buy that. If they don't, no problem. It's still out there and I can like repurpose it later, but I'm testing it. You see what I mean? So now if it really hits, then I'll have somebody, drop it on a WordPress, blah, 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 and then go from there. Right. But if it's just in that testing stage and me determine if I got customers, I want to get it done quick. I want to be able to do it myself as much as I can and then see if I can drive traffic to it and people go, that's interesting. That's a validation of your idea,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't take a long time. We got to get having learned from having the people over there in India build the app and me messing around, now it's about a year now. It's actually a year passed. And what happened was competitors came into the marketplace. And I was like, God dog it. But they validated the movement. You see my point? They validated it. I'm like, oh shit, I was ahead of my time a little bit. But now I can quickly get in because mine has a specific emphasis. This is meditating on money. Make more money now. And I've recorded all the whole things and all that, right? Make more money now. Put the music to it, the whole deal, right? And I say now I am in the meditation space, but mine deals with money mindset stuff. By now, when you need a boost, when you need to get your mind right to make more money, I'm your guy. You see what I mean? You with your app is what you're going to be doing. I want you to get that thing built out for pennies. If you're, into it and you want to build it out, great. Take the time. But if you don't have the time, leverage your time by going over and getting some of this talent, right? That all they do is this thing. Put them under a nice confidentiality
Because I don't have time for that no more. I got another business I'm running right now. So, of course, I have to use somebody else.
Exactly. So because you're doing this other stuff, then just force yourself to totally leverage it out and watch what happens. You're going to start seeing that, you know what? These moles are building stuff fast. Men,
there's
women,
power in delegation.
Fast. Yes. Now I think your degree is in business, right?
Yes.
Now you're using your business, your chops, and it wasn't a waste of time. I look at business school and I go, man, I got a master's degree. That was a waste of time. I learned more on YouTube in 6 months than I learned in all the 6 years.
Yeah, but starting your own business, there's nothing like no degree tells you how, because you start off as being self-employed where you do everything. You're the marketing dude. You do the calls, you make the product, everything. You your own pay. Yes, you're your own. Give yourself your own wage. You got to pay everybody. So when you master that, then you start to learn where to delegate stuff like that. So that's where I'm learning. Okay, I need to delegate this, that, and the other. So
and you're only 27. Yes, I want you to give yourself some some gratitude, because at only 27, you can still make 1,700 mistakes and be all right and recover. If you 57, now that's another conversation. You see what I mean? But with what I'm suggesting to you is that, okay, you got one business that you says, hey, I went for it, and it didn't have the effect that I wanted it to, but it could be that it can still, but it needs to mature. Right. And this is one thing that, and I'll say generationally, that's the part that gets a little murky, is waiting, understanding that time takes care of things. You know what I'm saying? That, okay, it may take 17 months because I have these steps. Now, how we can make that shorten that time frame is bringing in a whole bunch of people to kind of like shoot it out there faster. Marketing. Every single thing that you say I'm doing now, start asking yourself, who can do this? Who can do this, right? Without you losing control of certain things, right? Marketing, I like to do myself because I want to control that. But other things, you go, this thing is taking too long, and it's getting too much of me into it, and it's not getting done because I keep iterating, keep fixing, keep perfecting, blah, 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 right? But if you can get it done fast, get it out there. And like I say, my thing for me, when I'm creating a digital product, it's a week. If it can't get done in a week, and I mean the week of concentrating, I'm not talking about, I put 2 hours into it in a week. No, I'm talking about, okay, if I put 12 hours today in, if I got up at 3:30, I got up at 3:30 last night, right? If I got up at 3:30 and I got this much done, could it get done in a week? Absolutely. You see what I mean? So you say, well, I don't got time for that. Well, then you go over there and says, okay, if that person put in 30 hours and I paid them $12 an hour, for, some good talent, could they get it done in a week so I can get it out there testing? See what I mean? So that's your challenge now, is to look at your baby and go, I need to grow you up real fast. So I'm gonna give you some growth hormone. I'm gonna give you a little bit of this, right? And I need you to grow up in a week. I need you to be 7 years old in a week. Okay, fine. You see what I mean? And then you can get it out there and say, well, I think they're going to be a good kid. Right? That's your goal, man. And I'm telling you, every single thing that you can do outside of your business, because your business is like a job, right? So you put your 40 into that. But then if you had a job, 40 plus. But if you had a job, you would say, well, I got a job and I'm spending 3, 4, 5, 6 hours after that job, right? And that's where you're obviously going to have to grab some systems, and you're going to have to grab some processes, right, that help you. None of that, oh, I'm free, I'm going to go to the store and spend 2 hours out there roaming around. You see what I mean? That's where treating the business like a job. And then when you're creating something extra, you say, all I'm going to do is leverage this totally out, period. And get that mug done, man.
All right.
That's my advice to you, sir. I hope this helped a little bit.
It did, because I was stuck mentally. I was like, should I build it first? Should I do the patent and stuff first? Because here's one thing I learned. Once I did my morph illustration stuff, and I was turning kids into superheroes, doing posters and things like that. It wasn't too long before I've seen other people copying my thing.
Competitors,
I'm
bro.
Yeah, I was like, where did superhero stuff coming from? I was like,
competitors, because somebody. That's not bad though. You were like, if in chess, there's only one player that can make the move first, but they're the one that get all the arrows. You typically don't have pawns on the chessboard after the game, right? But that's okay, because you want to get something out there where it attracts competitors, but you get that first mover advantage sometimes, right? You're that first person out there, and people are comparing everything. But and what you get a chance to do is start looking at what the competitors come up with and iterate your product. You see my point? You will see that constantly. That if you don't get competitors into your marketplace, then your idea is probably dumb.
Right.
Because people don't look at stuff and go, that's a bad idea. I think I'll do it. No, that's a good idea. Oh, that's interesting. And then the barrier to entry, right? You say, well, I just need some software. I need a couple things. But in the meantime, you could have built up a nice mailing list of people that you've worked with, people that dig your stuff, right? And then because you understand how to get it built for cheap. You see what I mean? You create it, and then you can go over here to these places, whether it's your Fiverr's, Gurus, Top Towels, or whatever, right? And you can say, okay, I need this built up or iterated, and I'm not going to do it myself because I'm too expensive. You know what I mean? And then now you can continually see what competitors are doing and iterate quick and say, yeah, but we do this, right? You've enjoyed this, but we do this. That's out there, but we do this. And like, and trust me, so why not work with me, right? It's like what we do with a store. We either go to Aldi's, or we go to Walmart, or we stick with Meijer. Every now and then we'll flirt with the other, but we kind of have a one that we like. And that could be your product. So don't run from that. I'm telling you, man, there's something interesting about that idea. Even if you got other people running it, you start it, you come up with the idea, you put a little small team of freelance people around it. You see my point? And because you got other money coming in, you can say, okay, I'll invest $100 a month into this, or $200 a month. And if it's returning me 210, that's a win. Right? Because then you can say, well, it's bringing back its cost and it's a little bit of income. So now we just need to, grow that up, right? That 7-year-olds out there proving that they're a good kid, right? And you go, all right, great. You're going to be awesome at 14 then, because I'm going to invest in you now. And that's what you're doing, man. That's the part that your job will become easier when after you get off your main thing, you look at this and go, this is totally outsourced outside of me coming in, checking stuff out and, talking with the team and all that. And then you start getting it out there in the marketplace and your price points can be totally different because you don't have the same financial inputs. Now I'm talking like you're beyond your 27 years. I apologize if there's a couple of things that but
I
you
understand.
look,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You got business degree. You're smart as all get out, right? So I'm just gonna put it out there like this, and we got it on record, so you can just play back and says, "What was he talking about with this?"
Mm-hmm.
You dig what I'm saying? So now we then have a chance to go out there iterating. That's what I want you doing next. Is totally 100% spending that extra time outside of your regular job or your regular business job, and putting a little time into this, making sure that you keep an eye on your the superhero stuff, man. Because I something hit my bones when you said that. I was like, "Ooh, that's interesting." Oh, I can see that working. I'm serious. I can see that working on so many levels. Why should we have Pokemon cards when we got us cards? Right. And then you say, hey, you better get my card now because when I become an influencer and I got 5 million people, you're going to want. So you see, now you're going, wait a minute. There's something interesting about that. Forget basketball players because now influencers are becoming the new superhero or that esports person is the new jock. You see my point? And they
Right.
got a card that you created back in the day. And now people could be trading them.
Mm-hmm.
See my point? And then now you got these competitors coming in. You're going, hey, but I was the first. And we're constantly iterating, constantly going out, finding ways to morph off of that, constantly finding lanes of business folks, right? You could say, well, we do, videography, we do headshots, but we also do this other little thing. And you introduce it to them. Hey, you know
Right.
what? That's the fun part. Oh, here's the serious part. I'm trying to get this, this movie role and I need a professional, blah, blah, blah. It's, oh, yeah. But when you have fun,
And we also do themed photo shoots. Yep, and get
yeah.
products from that.
So some of this stuff, as you start thinking about it, as you think about what is totally 100% leverageable. In other words, how can you start thinking about the leverageability of everything you're doing and the scalability of everything you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I got to show up hand-to-hand combat type stuff, that's the retail model, and that model is played out. But if I can create, again, like your app that does one thing, build it once, and it gets iterated and or used millions of times,
Yeah.
that's the space you want to be in. That's why I just do digital stuff. You couldn't get me to go build something on a corner. Oh, I'll put a retail. No. Yeah, I
That's
got a shoe
another reason.
company.
That's another reason why I stopped doing the trading cards and Morph Kids and the superheroes. That super time consuming when they don't have a costume, they don't have the things. So you have to look for things online and put it together, and then it comes out looking great. But the time spent and the money you got for it, if I was to pay myself hourly, that's less than a Mexican. Five.
Yeah, and we think about Mexican wages, we think about groups that accept lower income or whatever it's been leveraged in that particular way. We got to say to ourselves, then what do I need to do to get my price input so low? And that's when you take yourself out of the equation. When you say, okay, can I totally 100% as much as possible? How can I move this away from me doing it, still get it done, right? In other words, I'm not going to go buy your costume for you. I'm going to go over to Amazon. I'm going to show you where they are, and I'm an affiliate for these companies,
Right.
right? So all you're doing again is being the director, right? Think of an orchestra director. The orchestra director probably knows how to play every instrument, but because they have so many interests that they decided to direct, but they can hear when something's off. They know enough to say, I need this section in now. And that's why they direct them, or they're the maestros. So in your particular case, you are the maestro. I heard one guy talk about this in a whole different way. And I thought, this is brilliant. He says, you got to stop being the soldier and eventually become the general. We're soldiers. We like to do stuff, but the soldiers wear out. The generals get stars.
Mm-hmm.
So in your particular case, see if
I,
you
I
can push it
tried,
out.
I tried, I tried to delegate it, and I had some designers. I even had someone who was willing to morph kids and all that stuff. Like I had a few people on Fiverr and all that stuff. But then when you're working with artists,
Oh man,
when you're working with artists,
tell
like,
me about
okay,
it.
we could do this, boom, 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 boom. I'm giving them the timeline. I'll be able to do it. But oh, I'm working on this project and this, that. And
Yeah,
then you look at it, it's not the way, because they looked at your product and they say, well, I wanted it this way, and then he
right.
do it in a different style.
That's the
So when you're
challenge.
dealing with different artists, it's like it's too
It's the
many,
challenge. It's herding
like,
cats.
yeah. So
And
then I learned I have to create a system and
yep,
you know
I needed to
fit
be
within
this
that system.
color.
People I need to monitor.
Yeah, but that's the work. You know what I mean? It is the work that if you can, and finding the good folks is terribly hard. You know what I mean? It's just so freaking hard. And
And
it
people not
becomes
stealing your idea too.
stealing
Because
your
I've had a
idea.
few people who
Sure.
worked with me. They were like, "Oh, so how you do this? How you do this?" I never tell them how I make the cake. I might, give them like a cherry or frosting or something like that.
Right.
But they look at it, and then I look a few months later. Oh, they're morphing kids. Oh, they're contacting clients because I use a lot of freelance photographers.
Hmm.
So then I had a
They're trying
few
to make sure they
photographers.
increase their book. Yeah.
Right. They contacted my clients behind my back.
Mhm.
You know,
That's
people are
that's
hungry out here.
yeah, and that's where
So
your confidentiality agreements, right? That you do everything you can to have a strong and tight one. You cannot do this. If I find out you did, you will pay me. Or you create an environment where, hey, listen, you don't have to go out there and steal my customer. We'll all eat off this. You know what I mean? That's getting a little bit deeper into the weeds a little bit, but it's where you're saying, you don't work for me, we work together, right? And as
right.
we grow, then everybody gets paid. You know what I mean? That's where you are saying, pay for performance kind of a thing, and blah 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 blah, right? Because I mean that will happen. And I've had that same thing happen. I used to work with some folks over in the Philippines, and that was just not a great experience for me. Then other people say it's awesome for them, but it took time for them to find the right ones, the ones that wouldn't steal from them. You know what I mean? The ones that blah blah blah, all these different things. But that is what we are charged as a business builder with, and it is terribly frustrating sometimes. But it might
Hmm.
be having employees, because that can get extremely frustrating, right?
Yeah.
And if you build the environment and find the good folks that says, I'm with you, buddy, because I like your, way you build. I like the fact that you'll continually keep me eating. And because you're constantly coming up with ideas and et cetera, et cetera. Then those are the team that you, after making, 100 mistakes, hiring the wrong people, blah, 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 taking that time, right? Then you now have your set team. And then you grab a team leader that then manages them. You start making 50, 100 grand a month, right? Then you can pay somebody 6 figures a year to be over this while you go and pursue
Hmm.
some other interests. You know what I mean? It's worth it then. Make sense?
Yes.
Hope that's helped a little bit. So what's
Hmm.
happening next? What is your next step? I give you a lot of information, right? Gave you the fire hose.
So I just wrote down some calendar stuff while I was writing down. So what my goal is to have the app. What day is it? To have the app built by April 1st. Have it launched out.
So we're talking about, we got March. I'm going to teach you something about the law of Parkinson's. You ever heard of the law of Parkinson's?
No.
All right. So Parkinson's law says that things expand or contract by the time we give them. So You got a 3 month. This is something that I challenge people with, and it always cracks their head until they do it. So you says, okay, so you got January, February, March, April, 3 month time frame. Now, what if I said, you know what? I'm coming over there. I'm gonna cut your hair. I'm gonna take everything in the house if you don't get it done in 3 weeks.
Mm.
The law of Parkinson's works because when we think about when you're in school, well, you got a month to write this paper. What happens? You take the
You
month.
procrastinate to the last week, yeah.
Take the month. That's the law of Parkinson's. But if they came in and what ends up happening at the end of that time is that you cracked it out in 2 days. You'd be like, wait a minute, how did I crack something out in 2 days? And I couldn't get it done in the 28 days prior. That's when you say, if I put myself under a tight deadline, impossibly tight deadline, watch what happens. You'll be thinking, shit, I can't do this, so I need to hire. Or what do I need to get this in? Who do I need to talk to get this done? Tightening up the time frame. You says, look, no matter what, April is going to be out. But guess what? For some reason, I got to get this done in 3 weeks. Why? Because you're going to come up with 58 other ideas that will try to take precedent. So give yourself a tight deadline, almost impossibly tight. And then challenge yourself to build out. If you're a builder, you then build out how. 3 weeks. Well, okay. First day, second day. I like to go backwards. This is already done. How did I get there? Then I reverse engineer it. I go, oh, I see. I did this, I did that, and I did this. You're still in Grand Rapids, right?
No, I'm in North Carolina.
Okay, you in NC. So when you first got there, you had to really be, cognizant of where you were going to go. So you probably GPSed it, right? Yes. Whereas here in Michigan, you could map it out mentally. You could say, well, I want to go to East Grand Rapids Park. I live over here on such and such, but you could see it. And you just go, okay, I'm going to take this. You didn't really map it out as much. Now you are absolutely having to map this thing out in a whole different way. Same concept with this app is give yourself that tight deadline and say, shit, because here's what happens. What typically happens is stuff takes times 3 anyway. Takes time. I'm doing a project with a young lady. We're building out we're doing an ebook. She's got 500,000. She's an influencer. So I says, look, I'll do the work part. And then I need to be in front of your people once it's done, kind of a thing, right? So we gave ourselves 3 weeks because I tight deadline stuff. And I says, what happens oftentimes, 3 weeks turns into times 3. And then life happened on her end. And now I'm saying, I knew this. I don't like working with partners, but I do need her audience. You see my point? And she also says, well, I need to have somebody on my team that gets stuff done. And I'm that guy. So we're bringing our talents together to create this thing. But the first thing I says is we're going to do a test to see if anybody even wants it. Right. And I was able to get that test done in 2 days. Built a little small landing page, grabbed a cover and says, hey, look, this is going to be coming out. Who's interested in all the stuff that we're going to have in there? And here's a surprise. We're going to give you first chapter, blah, 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 free. And then we're getting people to raise their hand. Right? So we're testing it out before we build it out. And then if we get enough, we can then say, okay, well, we got the preliminary part of it on Amazon. You can go there and download it. You know how you do with a book. This is coming out in March. Buy it now. Right? So when people get their money before they even have to build it. And that's when you really know you got something that's working and that will work. So put yourself on a tight deadline. That's all I'm saying. Trust when I say this, it works. Tight deadline, 3 weeks. Tight deadline. 3 weeks. What will it take for you to get it done in 3 weeks? Not 3 months. Peter Thiel, you know who that is? You heard that name before?
Can you repeat that?
Peter Thiel, one of the guys that started PayPal. He's a billionaire now because he invested early in a whole bunch of startups. But he talks about that. He says, when you look at a long horizon, 6 years. He says, ask yourself, how can I get that 6 years worth of stuff done in a year? And we're finding out that, bro, there's no guarantees now. People are dropping off this earth from something they didn't even see coming. Right? You go to the grocery store, get the sickness, get the blah, 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 and boom, you're gone. So your 6-year plan goes out the window anyway. Right? So why not try to get it done in a short time frame? Wireframe it all the way out. Boom. I need this person to do this. I need this to do this. I need this to do this. It need to be iterated and tested on week 2. I need to fix the bugs week 2.5. And then I'm going to launch it, right? Soft launch it week 3 or at the end of week 3. All the way down. Give yourself that type of structure and then ask of each one of those points, who can do it? Not you. Who can do it? Who do I need to hire? I need my confidentiality agreements, tight. So I need to, all that stuff. So you go online, you get that what does that take, a half hour? Boom, you get one of those. Hey, you sign this before we go forward. And I will be checking. I got all your social media profiles. If you want to work on this project, you got to sign this thing because I'm not seeing my stuff walk out the door. You know what I mean? Boom, You sign it, great. And this is how you get paid. I'm going to give you a little bit now, and then I'm going to give you, we can do a profit participation, or we can do boom, 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 right? If they're smart, they take profit participation. But most people they want their money now. They don't understand the long term. I'm a profit participation guy. I'm like, look, I want to be a part of this. Think about all the people that invested in Facebook, right? And they says, I'll take my money later. They became super, super duper rich. So my point is 3 weeks, all the way down, tighten it up, man. Have a schedule. Every single extra time you got, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, because you're going to get it done in that 3 weeks. It just has to happen. Got to turn that paper in, get that grade, bro. This is the grade of life and income. See my point? Grade of life and income. Right? That is the true test to entrepreneurs. Patience. Can I wait for my money? Right? And can I leverage myself enough to get stuff done way beyond what I could, accomplish? And that's where you get rich.